Mira stood on the edge of a ruined cliff, looking down at the planet below. The sky above her was dark with smoke. The land beneath had once been full of life, but now it was silent. Only broken towers and ash-covered ground remained. She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to forget what she had lost. But forgetting was not easy for someone like her. She was once a noble of the Velari, an ancient race that protected the realm of Corin. Her people had silver blood and long memories. They were proud and powerful, watching over the stars for many ages. But something had changed. The High Circle, the leaders of the Velari, had made a cruel decision. They chose to abandon the outer worlds, leaving them to fall into ruin. They believed those worlds were too weak, too broken to save. Mira did not agree. She spoke against them. She said every world deserved protection, even the ones on the edge. The High Circle called her a traitor. They stripped her of her title, cast her out, and told her never to return. She became an exile, wandering the stars alone. For years she searched. She looked for signs of life in the broken parts of the realm. Most places were empty. Some had ghosts, others had nothing but dust. Still, she didn't stop. She believed there was still something worth saving. One day, her ship flew low over a small planet hidden behind rings of ice. The scanners showed signs of old energy, faint but strange. She landed near a desert canyon where stone pillars stood, like bones rising from the earth. She walked for hours under the harsh sun, following a path that seemed older than time. At the base of a cracked hill, she found him. The man was digging through ruins. His clothes were worn, and his hands were covered in dirt. He didn't seem surprised to see her. He looked up and gave a small nod. Another scavenger. He asked. Mira, step closer. I'm not here for scrap. The man stood up. He had sharp eyes and a calm face. He didn't carry a weapon, but he moved like someone who had been in many fights. There was something different about him, something the scanners could not explain. What's your name? Mira asked. Drew. He replied. And you? Mira, she said simply. He looked her over with curiosity. You're not from around here. No, she said. And neither are you. He frowned a little but didn't argue. Instead, he turned and pointed to a wide crack in the stone behind him. I found something strange down there. Thought it was just another buried vault, but it glows sometimes. I can feel it calling when I sleep. Mira's heart skipped a beat. She stepped past him and knelt at the crack. There was a pulse beneath the stone. Old energy, ancient and alive. She looked up at Drew. You touched it? Yeah, he said. By accident. The ground shook. Then I saw lights in the sky that weren't there before. She stood and looked him straight in the eye. That is not just a vault. It's a shard of Corin. Drew raised an eyebrow. Corin? Mira nodded slowly. The realm of balance. A place that once held peace between the stars. It shattered long ago, but parts of it are still hidden across the galaxy. And one of them is here. Drew folded his arms. I'm just a man trying to survive. I don't know anything about realms or balance. You may not remember, Mira said, but something chose you. The shard doesn't wait for just anyone. He looked away, unsure what to say. That night, they camped beside the ruined hill. Mira sat by the fire while Drew watched the stars. The winds were cold. The desert felt too quiet. But deep under the ground, something was stirring. Drew finally spoke. Why did you come here? Really? Mira looked into the fire. I lost everything. My people chose to forget the broken places. I couldn't, so I came here to find what remains. Drew nodded slowly. I get that. They sat in silence. Suddenly, the earth trembled. A crackling sound came from the ruined hill. Mira jumped to her feet. Drew grabbed a broken blade he kept nearby. A long shape crawled out from the fissure. It was dark, smooth, and silent. No eyes. No face. Just a shifting shadow of twisted limbs. Mira pulled a small device from her belt and threw it. Light exploded in the air, but the creature didn't stop. It slid across the ground with speed that didn't match its size. Drew stepped in front of her without thinking. He swung the blade, hitting the creature's side. It let out a sharp screech. Mira fired a bolt of energy from her wristband. burning a hole through its form. The creature turned and rushed back into the crack, vanishing as quickly as it had come. They stood still for a long moment. What was that? Drew asked, breathing hard. A warning. Mira said, the realm is waking, and it's calling. For help. She looked at him again. Now she was sure. The realm had chosen this man, a scavenger. A nobody. But not by mistake. You're not just surviving, she said. You're meant to protect something far bigger than this world. Drew didn't reply, but he didn't walk away either. The morning light broke through the dusty sky, painting the desert in pale orange. Drew stood at the edge of the cracked hill, staring at the deep fissure where the strange creature had vanished. The night before, his fingers gripped the old iron blade tightly. It still had marks from the fight dot behind him. Mira checked her scanning device. Her eyes were sharp, focused. She had seen that kind of creature before, not in full, but in fragments of old visions. The shape, the silence, the hunger. It was not from any normal world. We need to go down there, Mira said without looking up. Drew turned to her. You want to follow that thing. I want to find the shard. That thing came from the same place. If we don't stop what's down there, it won't be the last one. Drew hesitated. He had lived alone for years, avoided trouble, and survived by staying out of deep holes. But something inside him had changed. The fire from the night before still burned in his chest. He gave a short nod. Let's go. Together, they moved into the crack. The path was steep, with broken stones and thin roots hanging like wires. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Light faded fast. Mira touched a small button on her wristband, and soft blue light lit up around them. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber. Strange marks covered the walls, glowing faintly. Drew reached out and touched one. A low hum filled the air. The symbols responded to his touch, pulsing with life. Mira stepped back. The shard is close. It's waking up because of you. Drew looked confused. I don't understand. Why me? Mira walked slowly, her hand brushing the walls. Long ago, the realm of Corrin chose guardians to protect its balance. Not warriors, not kings. Just people with strong hearts and steady minds. The realm doesn't care about bloodlines or power. It chooses based on spirit. Drew looked at his hand, still glowing faintly from the symbol's touch. I'm just a scavenger. I don't even remember my past clearly. Mira stopped in front of a large stone door covered in ancient carvings. Maybe your past doesn't matter. Maybe the realm sees something inside you that you've forgotten. The door suddenly rumbled. Dust fell from above. The carvings lit up, one by one. Then, without warning, the door opened with a slow groan. Inside was a massive chamber filled with floating crystals. At the center hovered a single shard, larger than the rest, spinning slowly in the air. It glowed with soft golden light. Drew stepped forward. The moment his foot touched the stone floor, the shard brightened. A wave of warmth spread through the chamber. Mira covered her mouth in surprise. It's responding to you, just like I thought. As Drew walked closer, images appeared in the air around the shard. Floating memories, broken cities, dying skies, people screaming. Then silence, then hope. A new image formed. Drew, standing at the center of the realm, holding the light back from the darkness. He stepped away quickly. I didn't ask for this. Mira nodded. No one ever does. But sometimes the world doesn't wait for permission. Suddenly, the ground shook again. Cracks formed along the chamber walls from the shadows. Another creature slithered out. This one was bigger, faster. Its limbs moved like smoke, and its mouth opened wider than its head. Mira raised her arm and fired. A bolt of energy. It struck the creature, but it kept coming. Drew didn't wait. He ran forward, grabbed a fallen shard from the ground, and slammed it into the creature's side. The creature screamed and vanished into black mist. Drew stood breathing hard, the shard still in his hand. Mira looked at him with wide eyes. The realm gave you a weapon. It knows you're the one. Drew dropped the shard to the ground. I'm not a hero. Mira picked up the shard and placed it in his hand again. You don't have to be. You just have to stand when others fall. They left the chamber and climbed back to the surface. The sky was changing. Clouds formed in strange patterns. Colors shimmered in the air like reflections on water. The realm is waking, Mira said. But it's not stable yet. It's still broken. Drew looked out across the desert. He saw something he hadn't noticed before. Shapes moving in the distance. People, survivors. Families hiding in the rocks. He had passed them before and ignored them. Now he couldn't. What happens if I accept it? Drew asked. Mira looked at him. Then the realm will bind to you. You'll become its guardian. But it won't be easy. Others will come. Not just creatures. My people will try to stop it. They don't trust humans to carry that kind of power. Drew's jaw tightened. Let them come. That night, he sat alone by the fire, holding the shard. The stars above looked different. Brighter, or maybe he was just seeing them through new eyes. The realm had called him. He wasn't sure why, but he was done running. Mira watched him from a distance. For the first time in years, she felt hope. Maybe the realm wasn't lost. Maybe the guardian it had waited for had finally arrived. The wind moved slowly across the empty land, carrying dust and silence. Drew walked beside Mira along the edge of a cliff. Below them, broken land stretched as far as the eye could see. Floating rocks hovered in midair, pieces of old buildings, hung between cracks in space. It was not just a ruined place. It was something forgotten by time. Drew held the shard in his hand. It pulsed with quiet energy. His mind felt clearer now, ever since he touched it. Strange thoughts had come to him, dreams of people he had never met, voices calling for help from far away. He didn't understand it, but it felt real. Mira moved ahead and stopped near a fallen pillar. She pressed her hand against it and closed her eyes. The stone reacted to her touch, glowing slightly. This part of the realm is still alive, she said. But only barely. Drew looked around. How is this even possible? Nothing should be floating like that. Mira turned to him. The realm is not bound by normal laws anymore. It broke during the last war. What remains are echoes, fragments of what once was. They climbed down through a narrow path. At the bottom was a wide stone platform, cracked and covered in strange marks. At the center stood a circle of pillars. Drew stepped forward, and the air shifted. A light appeared above the circle. Slowly, it formed the shape of a woman. She was tall, with silver hair and sharp eyes. Her face was calm, but her voice carried weight. Mira, the image said. You should not have returned. Drew looked at Mira. She lowered her head slightly. That's my sister, she said quietly. Her name is Lerna. The image continued. You defied the high circle. Now you bring a human into the sacred grounds. Do you think the realm will accept him? Mira stepped forward. The realm already has. He fought the Hollowburn. He touched the shard. The realm responded. Lerna's image narrowed her eyes. It responded because it is weak. It clings to anything with a pulse. The realm is broken, Mira. It needs to be put to rest, not rebuilt. Drew felt anger rise in his chest. He stepped beside Mira. This realm isn't dead. I've seen people out there. They're still alive. They're holding on. Lerna turned her gaze to him. And what can you do for them, human? You barely understand what you've touched. You're nothing but a spark in the dark. Drew didn't answer. He didn't need to. The shard in his hand glowed stronger. The pillars around them responded. The ground beneath his feet warmed. Even Lerna's image flickered slightly. Mira looked at her sister. He's more than you think. The realm sees it, and I see it too. Lerna's image vanished without another word. A heavy silence followed. Drew looked at Mira. She hates me. She fears you, Mira said. She fears what the realm might become if it grows beyond their control. They continued their journey deeper into the broken land. Every step brought more strange sights. Birds made of light flew between shattered trees. Rivers flowed upward. Old machines, half buried, still hummed without power. It was a place between life and death. Then they heard a sound. It came from below, a low growl, followed by sharp clicks. Mira raised her hand, signaling Drew to stop. She moved quietly toward a broken structure ahead. Drew followed, keeping low. They peered through a crack in the wall. On the other side was a Hollowburn. This one was not like the others. It had a body, of twisted black stone and long arms that dragged across the ground around it. Smaller creatures moved like shadows. They fed on the light that leaked from the realm's cracks. They're getting stronger. Mira whispered, "The more the realm wakes, the more they come." Drew gripped the shard. "Can we stop it? Not here. Not now. But we can learn." How? They moved away from the creatures, keeping out of sight, as they climbed another ridge. Mira spotted an old structure built into the cliff. It was covered in vines and ash. But the shape was familiar. "A memory tower," she said. "If it still works, we can access the records, see what happened during the fall." They entered the tower. The air was thick and heavy. Inside, the walls glowed faintly. Mira walked to the center and pressed her hand on a stone plate. Light filled the room. Scenes from the past played in the air. The last days of the realm. Valari leaders arguing. A great tear forming in the sky. The holoburn pouring in. Guardians falling one by one. Then an image appeared that caught Drew's breath. A man stood at the center of the chaos. He held a shard like Drew's, but larger. Light poured from his body as he fought the darkness alone. "Who's that?" Drew asked. Mira stared at the image. "That was the first guardian. He gave everything to stop the holoburn. His name was lost, but his memory lives here." Drew watched as the image faded. He felt something stir inside him. Not fear, but responsibility. If he stood alone, Drew said slowly, "Then I won't." Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone. Not anymore." Outside, the wind changed again. The sky above them grew darker. Something new was coming. Drew looked out at the broken realm and tightened his grip on the shard. He didn't know how much time they had, but he knew this was only the beginning. The sky had changed again. Above the broken lands, strange patterns glowed like veins in the clouds. Mira and Drew stood at the edge of a high cliff, looking down at a wide valley. The ground below was cracked and dry, but light flowed through the old paths, forming new lines of energy. The realm was waking, and others had noticed. A dark shape appeared in the sky. It moved with speed and grace. A silver vessel made in the shape of a winged blade. Mira's eyes narrowed. "That's a Valari ship," she said. "They're here." Drew looked up. "Your people?" Mira nodded slowly. "Not all of them, just one." The ship landed on a nearby plateau. Dust rose into the air. A single figure stepped out. She wore silver armor with blue lines running across the chest. Her steps were silent, but heavy with purpose. Her face looked like Mira's, but colder, sharper. Mira stepped forward. "Lerna." Lerna looked at her sister with calm eyes. "You came too far. You should have stayed in exile." Drew stood beside Mira. Lerna's gaze moved to him. "So this is the human the realm chose," she said. "I expected more." Drew didn't react. He had seen enough to know that words didn't mean much in a broken realm. Mira kept her voice steady. "He saved lives. He touched the shard." The realm answered. Lerna stepped closer. "The realm is confused. It is still broken. What you call response is just a dying system holding on to anything." She raised her hand. A small device floated into the air behind her. It opened slowly, revealing a glowing core. "This is a sun forge," Lerna said. "It burns corrupted pieces of lost realms. If you continue to wake this place, more holoburn will come. I plan to end it before that happens." Drew took a step forward. "You want to destroy all of this?" "I want to prevent another fall," Lerna answered. "This realm fell once already. We won't let it rise and pull others into the same fate." Mira's voice rose. "There are people still living here. I've seen them. Children, families. Survivors, they are already lost," Lerna said coldly. "The Valari protect order. That is our duty. You forgot that." Drew looked around. The valley below shimmered with light. He remembered the memory tower. The first guardian. The city's trying to survive. He clenched his fists. "You talk about duty," he said. "But all I see is fear." Lerna raised her chin. "Fear keeps chaos in check. We gave you a chance to live in peace. You chose to wake the past." She lifted the sun forge. Its light grew brighter. Mira moved between her and Drew. "You'll have to go through me. I don't want to fight you." Lerna said. Then don't, Mira answered. Lerna gave a long look at her sister. Then, with a wave of her hand, the Sunforge fired. A blast of white energy shot toward the valley. Drew raised the shard. Light spread from his body. A shield formed between the blast and the land. The force shook the ground. Dust flew in all directions. The blast ended, but the ground cracked open. A new fissure spread across the valley floor. Mira looked back. Drew stood with his arms stretched out. The shard had fused into his skin, glowing bright. He had taken the full hit. He dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Lerna stared in shock. That's not possible. Mira rushed to Drew and helped him stand. He looked up at Lerna. You tried to destroy it, but the realm fought back. Lerna lowered the Sunforge. Her voice was quiet. He's becoming the anchor. Just like the first, Mira nodded. The realm is not lost. It's healing. Let it grow. Lerna stepped back slowly. You'll bring others. The council will come, and they won't speak first. Let them come, Mira said. But know this, we're not giving up. Lerna looked at her sister one last time. Her voice was calm again. You've chosen your path. So have I. She returned to her ship. The vessel lifted into the air and disappeared beyond the clouds. Drew sat down on a flat stone. His body still hurt from the blast. Mira knelt beside him and placed a hand on his shoulder. You stopped it, she said. Only for now. Drew replied. She'll be back. Mira looked at the valley. The cracks were glowing with light again. The realm was holding together, but just barely. We need to move fast, she said. Before the others come. Drew nodded. Where do we go? Mira stood and pointed east. There's a bridge across the floating cliffs. It leads to the core of this realm. If we reach it, we can restore balance. Drew stood slowly. The shard in his arm pulsed like a second heartbeat. They walked together toward the rising light. Behind them, the sky rumbled. More ships would come. More battles would follow. But for now, they still had time, and the realm was not alone anymore. The wind howled across the floating cliffs. Pieces of land drifted slowly in the air like islands trapped in a quiet storm. Drew stepped carefully across a narrow stone bridge that connected to broken pieces of the realm. Beneath him, there was no ground, only sky and falling dust. Mira followed behind him. Her eyes kept scanning the horizon. The realm was changing faster now. The more Drew connected with it, the more the land responded. Energy lines ran across the stones under their feet, glowing brighter each hour. We're getting close to the heart, Mira said. The realm knows we're coming. Drew looked back at her. Is that a good thing? Mira gave a short nod. If the realm welcomes you, it will try to protect you. But it also remembers everything, even pain. They reached the next island. It was larger than the others. Ancient towers stood around the edge, cracked but still standing. At the center was a wide circle made of black stone. Strange symbols were carved into it. This is a memory ring, Mira said. It holds echoes of the First War. If we activate it, we might see what really happened when the realm fell. Drew stepped into the circle. The shard in his arm pulsed. The air thickened. A sudden rush of sound filled his ears. Voices, distant and broken, echoed around them. The black stone lit up. Images rose into the air like smoke-forming shapes. They saw a city floating in the sky, filled with light and music. People of all kinds walked together. Humans, Valari, and others Drew didn't recognize. The realm had once been a place of peace. Then the image shifted. A great crack split the sky. Darkness poured through it. Creatures without form spread across the land. Buildings fell. Skies burned. Mira stepped closer to the image. The holoburn. They came from outside the known stars. No one knows where they came from or why they attacked. Another image appeared. A man stood alone in the center of the chaos. He held a shard larger than the one Drew carried. Light shone from his body. He faced the holoburn without fear. That's the first guardian, Mira said softly. He wasn't Valari. He wasn't trained. But the realm chose him, just like it chose you. Drew watched as the guardian fought the creatures. Every step he took restored part of the realm. But the more he gave, the more the light faded from his body, and the final image He stood at the core of the realm and released all his power in one last wave. Then silence. The image faded. The circle went dark. Drew stepped back. His chest felt heavy. He gave everything. Yes, Mira said. The realm survived because of him. But the cost was great. Drew looked at his arm. The shard pulsed slowly. If I go too far, will I vanish like him? Mira walked beside him. Maybe. But you're not alone. He had to fight by himself. You don't? Drew looked around. The towers were shaking. The ground under them rumbled. Mira's eyes narrowed. Something is coming. A blast of wind hit them. From the sky above, black shapes fell. 3 holoburn landed on the stone circle. Their forms twisted as they moved. One had a long neck and glowing eyes. Another crawled low, its arms dragging behind. The third was larger, with stone armor growing from its back. Drew raised his arm. The shard glowed bright. The holoburn hissed and spread out. Mira fired her wrist weapon. One bolt hit the crawler, forcing it back. Drew swung the shard like a blade, striking the tall one in the chest. It screamed and fell apart into smoke. The large one charged forward. Drew blocked its strike, but the force sent him sliding across the stone. Mira jumped and fired again, hitting the creature's leg. It stumbled. Drew got to his feet and focused. He closed his eyes. The shard grew warm. He felt the realm's energy rising around him. The ground cracked. Light burst from the circle. Pillars of energy shot into the sky. The holoburn screamed and twisted in pain. One by one, they vanished into the wind. Silence returned. Drew fell to one knee, breathing hard. Mira ran to him. You did it. He looked up at her. It wasn't just me. The realm helped. She helped him stand. That's what it means to be guardian. You're part of it now. He nodded slowly. Then we have to protect it. All of it. They moved toward the next bridge, leading deeper into the heart of the realm. Behind them, the memory circle cracked and faded. Its final story told. As they crossed, Drew looked down at the land below. In the distance, small lights moved. People, survivors, families who had never left the realm. I want to find them, he said. We need to help them rebuild. We will, Mira said. But first, we must reach the core. That's where the real power is. That's where balance can be restored. Drew tightened his grip on the shard. The path ahead was dangerous, but now he knew the truth. He was not just chosen. He was part of something bigger, something ancient and alive. The first guardian had fought alone. This time, it would be different. The air grew heavier as Drew and Mira reached the final bridge. It was wide and broken in parts, with floating stone steps connecting the missing pieces. A thick fog covered the other side. Beyond it was the core of the realm, the place where the Guardian's bond would be made complete. Drew stepped forward each time his foot touched a stone. A soft light spread from under him. The shard in his arm beat like a second heart. The realm was watching. Mira moved beside him. Her eyes scanned the sky. We're not alone. A deep hum came from above. A Veilari cruiser flew overhead, large and silver, casting a shadow across the broken bridge. It hovered for a moment, then slowly lowered to the ground on the far side. The ship's door opened. Lerna stepped out, dressed in white armor with glowing blue lines. Behind her stood 5 other Veilari, armed and silent. Mira's voice was calm. I knew she would return. Drew stopped walking. His eyes met Lerna's across the bridge. Lerna raised her voice so it echoed through the fog. Step away from the core, human. This is your last warning. Mira stepped in front of Drew. You saw what happened. He saved the memory tower. He stopped the holoburn. You can't deny what the realm is doing. Laren took a few steps forward. He doesn't understand what comes next. If he becomes the guardian, he becomes the anchor. His life will no longer be his own. If he fails, the whole realm collapses. I won't risk that. Drew stepped beside Mira. You already gave up on this place. I won't. Lerna lifted a hand. The other Veilari readied their weapons. We won't let you pass. Drew looked at Mira. Can the realm be restored without the anchor? She shook her head. No. The anchor is the heart. Without it, the realm stays broken. Drew took a deep breath. Then I'll do it. He stepped forward. Lerna moved quickly. A flash of light shot from her hand. Mira blocked it with her shield. The bridge shook. The Veilari opened fire. Mira fired back, hitting two of them with quick, focused blasts. Drew ran ahead, dodging blasts and jumping across broken stone steps. The shard in his arm burned hot. It pulled him forward, guiding his steps. The fog thickened. The core was near. Lerna flew across the bridge and landed in front of him, her blade lit with blue fire. "You don't know what you're doing," she said. The first guardian lost himself. "You will too." "I'm not him," Drew replied, "and I'm not alone." He raised his arm. The shard released a wave of energy, pushing Lerna back. The light cleared the fog. Behind it stood a giant structure, round and glowing. It pulsed like a beating heart. Drew stepped onto its surface. The ground was smooth and warm. The moment he reached the center, the core lit up. Lines of energy spread out across the realm. Above, the sky split open with light. Cracks in the land began to seal. Floating pieces returned to the earth. The realm was healing. But the cost had begun. Drew's body shook. The shard burned brighter. His vision blurred. Mira reached him and grabbed his arm. "You don't have to give it all. Let the realm take only what it needs." Drew looked at her. "How do I know how much that is?" "You trust it," she said, "and trust yourself." He closed his eyes. The light spread again, but this time it was slower, more stable. His feet rooted into the core. He became part of it, not as a prisoner, but as a guide. Far across the land, people looked up. Survivors saw the skies change. The realm was no longer dying. It was breathing again. Lerna watched from a distance. Her blade fell to the ground. For the first time, she saw what Mira had seen. The realm had chosen, and it had not chosen wrong. Mira stood by Drew as the light calmed. He opened his eyes. The shard was no longer glowing. It had become part of him. Its job was done. "You're still here." Mira said. "I didn't vanish." Drew replied. "I'm still me." She smiled. "Then you've done what no one else could." Behind them, the realm stretched far and wide. Green returned to hills. Rivers flowed. The Hollowburn were gone. Balance had returned. Lerna walked slowly toward them. Her steps were heavy. Mira turned to face her. "It's over." Lerna looked at Drew. "He did what I feared, and he survived. I didn't do it alone." Drew said. Ellie or N.A. looked around. Her voice was quiet now. "I will return to the council. I will tell them the realm has a guardian again." "And will they accept it?" Mira asked. "They'll have to," Lerna replied. She looked one last time at the restored core. Then she walked back to her ship. Drew sat down, finally letting his muscles relax. Mira sat beside him. "So what now?" he asked. "We rebuild," she said, "together." The realm was no longer shattered. It had chosen a guardian, and with him, it had found a future. The sun rose slowly over the restored lands of Corin. Light touched the green hills, the flowing rivers, and the floating islands that had begun to settle back into the earth. The sky was clear and calm, a sharp contrast to the dark and broken world it had once been. Drew stood on a high cliff, looking out over the realm. The shard had become a part of him, but he no longer felt its weight as a burden. Instead, it was a steady warmth, like a pulse that connected him to everything around. He was the guardian now, but he was still himself. Mira joined him quietly. She looked tired but happy. "You did it," she said softly. "We did it," Drew replied. "I couldn't have done this alone." Mira smiled. "You reminded us all why the realm is worth fighting for." Below, in the valley, small groups of people worked together. Survivors from broken towns were building new homes. Children played near fresh water. The land was alive with hope again. Drew turned to Mira. "What about your people?" "The Veilari." She looked toward the horizon. The council accepted Lerna's words. "They know the realm has a guardian again. They will help rebuild too. But this time, things will be different." "How so?" Drew asked. "We have learned that protection means more than power. It means listening, helping, and trusting others, not just ruling." Drew nodded. He thought about the past weeks, the fights, the discoveries, the doubts. but also the friends he had made, Mira, Lerna, and even those he hadn't met yet. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. A soft glow rose from the valley. Drew raised his arm, and the shard inside pulsed gently. The realm was alive. It was growing. Mira looked at him. The core is strengthening. Your bond with it is healing everything. Drew smiled. I feel it. Like the realm is breathing with me. As they watched, more land floated down from the sky, settling into the earth. Rivers filled with clear water. Trees grew tall and green. It was as if the realm was waking from a long sleep. But not all was peaceful. On the edge of the restored land, a group of dark figures moved silently. Hollowburn had not disappeared completely. Some still lurked, waiting for a chance. Drew saw them through the shard's vision. He turned to Mira. We need to prepare. The fight isn't over yet. Mira nodded, agreed. But now, we have hope and allies together. They called for survivors and Valari together. They formed a council to protect the realm and guide its rebuilding. Days turned into weeks. The realm grew stronger. Drew trained with Mira and the Valari warriors. He learned to control the shard's power and to listen to the realm's voice. One evening, while resting near a quiet lake, Mira asked Drew, "Do you ever wish you were back on your old life? Alone, without all this responsibility?" Drew looked at the calm water, seeing his reflection. "Sometimes, but I know this is where I belong now. This realm needs me, and I need it." Mira smiled. "I'm glad you stayed." The next morning, a message arrived from the Valari Council. They invited Drew to join their leadership, to stand not just as guardian, but as a voice for the realm's future. Drew accepted. He understood that his journey had only begun. The realm was healing, but it was still fragile. He looked at Mira and said, "Together, we will build a better future." She nodded. "For the realm, for all who live here." As the sun set, the realm of Corn shone brighter than ever before. A new dawn had come, one filled with hope, courage, and unity, and at its heart stood Drew, the guardian of a shattered realm, now whole again.